Russell Charles Means was an American actor, Oglala Lakota activist for the rights of Native American people and libertarian political activist. He became a prominent member of the American Indian movement after joining the organization in 1968, and helped organize notable events that attracted national and international media coverage. Means was active in international issues of indigenous peoples, including working with groups in Central and South America, and with the United Nations for recognition of their rights. He was active in politics at his native Pine Ridge Indian Reservation and at the state and national level. Beginning an acting career in 1992, he appeared in numerous films, including The Last of the Mohicans, and released his own music CD. He published his autobiography Where White Men Fear to Tread in 1995. Means died in 2012, less than a month before his 73rd birthday. Early life: Means was born on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, South Dakota, to Theodora Louise Feather and Walter Hank Means. His mother was a Yankton Dakota from Greenwood, South Dakota, and his father, an Oglala Lakota. He was given the name Wambliowatika by his mother, which means brave eagle in the Lakota language. In 1942, when Russell was 3, the Means family resettled in the San Francisco Bay Area, seeking to escape the poverty and problems of the reservation. His father worked at the shipyard. Means grew up in the Bay Area, graduating in 1958 from San Leandro High School in San Leandro, California. He attended 4 colleges but did not graduate from any of them. In his 1995 autobiography, Means recounted a harsh childhood. His father was alcoholic and he himself fell into years of truancy, crime and drugs before finding purpose in the American Indian movement in Minneapolis. His father died in 1967 and, in his 20s, Means lived in several Indian reservations throughout the United States while searching for work. While at the Rosebud Indian Reservation in south-central South Dakota, he developed severe vertigo. Physicians at the reservation clinic believed that he had been brought in inebriated. After they refused to examine him for several days, Means was finally diagnosed with a concussion due to a presumed fist fight in a saloon. A visiting specialist later discovered that the reservation doctors had overlooked a common ear infection, which cost Means the hearing in one ear. After recovering from the infection, Means worked for a year in the Office of Economic Opportunity, where he came to know several legal activists who were managing legal action on behalf of the Lakota people. After a dispute with his supervisor, Means left Rosebud for Cleveland, Ohio. In Cleveland, he worked with Native American community leaders against the backdrop of the American Civil Rights Movement. Involvement with the American Indian Movement: in 1968, Means joined the American Indian Movement, where he rose to become a prominent leader. In 1970, Means was appointed AIM's first national director, and the organization began a period of increasing protests and activism. Occupations == Means participated in the 1969 Alcatraz occupation. He had been there once before, to occupy it for 24 hours under the lead of his father, Walter Hank Means, and a few other Lakota men in March 1964. On Thanksgiving Day 1970, Means and other AIM activists staged their first protest in Boston. They seized the Mayflower II, a replica ship of the Mayflower, to protest the Puritans and United States mistreatment of Native Americans. In 1971, Means was one of the leaders of AIM's takeover of Mount Rushmore, a federal monument. Rushmore is within the Black Hills, an area sacred to the Lakota tribe. In November 1972, he participated in AIM's occupation of the Bureau of Indian Affairs headquarters in Washington, D.C. to protest abuses. Many records were taken or destroyed, and more than $2 million in damages was done to the building. In 1973, Dennis Banks and Carter Camp led AIM's occupation of Wounded Knee, which became the group's most well-known action. Means appeared as a spokesman and prominent leader as well. The armed standoff of more than 300 Lakota and AIM activists with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and state law enforcement lasted for 71 days. A visiting Cherokee from North Carolina and an Oglala Lakota activist from Pine Ridge Reservation were killed in April 1973. Native American politics equals, in 1974, Means resigned from AIM to run for the presidency of his native Oglala Sioux tribe against the incumbent Richard Wilson. The official vote count showed Wilson winning by more than 200 votes. Residents complained of intimidation by Wilson's private militia. The report of a government investigation confirmed problems in the election, but in a related court challenge to the results of the election, a federal court upheld the results. In the late 1970s, Means turned to an international forum on issues of rights for indigenous peoples. He worked with the United Nations to establish the offices of the International Indian Treaty Council in 1977. At the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, he assisted in the organization of community institutions, such as the KILI radio station and the Porcupine Health Clinic in Porcupine, South Dakota. Splits in AIM in the 1980s, AIM divided into several competing factions. The division was in part over differences among members regarding support for the indigenous peoples in Nicaragua. Means announced his support for the Miskito group Misoriceta, which was allied with the Contras. He traveled to the Atlantic coast of Nicaragua in 1985 and 1986 on fact-finding tours. Means came to believe that the Miskito as a people were being targeted for elimination. Some members of AIM supported the Sandinistas of the national government, although they had forced removal of thousands of Miskito from their traditional territory. At that time, the Grand Governing Council of AIM, based in Minnesota, asked Means to cease representing himself as a leader of AIM. Other chapters of AIM continued to support Means. On January 8, 1988, Means held a press conference to announce his retirement from AIM, saying it had achieved its goals. That January, the AIM Grand Governing Council, headed by the Belcourt brothers, released a press release noting this was the sixth resignation by Means since 1974, and asking the press to never again report either that he is a founder of the American Indian Movement, or that he is a leader of the American Indian Movement. The AIM General Governing Council noted there were many open issues and legislation regarding Native Americans for which they were continuing to work. In 1993, the organization divided officially into two main factions, AIM Grand Governing Council, based in Minnesota, which copyrighted the name, and American Indian Movement of Colorado, based in Colorado and allied with Means. Anime Aquash . On November 3, 1999, Means and Robert Pictou Branscombe, a maternal cousin of Aquash from Canada, held a press conference in Denver at the federal building to discuss the slow progress of the government's investigation into Aquash's murder. It had been under investigation both by the Denver police, as Aquash had been kidnapped from there, and by the FBI, as she had been taken across state lines and killed on the Pine Ridge Reservation. Both Branscombe and Means accused Vernon Belcourt, a high-ranking leader of AIM, of having ordered the execution of Aquash. Means said that Clyde Belcourt, a founder of AIM, had ensured that it was carried out at the Pine Ridge Reservation. Means said that an AIM tribunal had banned the Belcourt brothers but tried to keep the reason for the dissension internal to protect AIM. The Associated Press reporter Robert Weller noted that this was the first time that an AIM leader active at the time of Aquash's death had publicly implicated AIM in her murder. There had long been rumors. Means and Branscombe accused three indigenous people, Isla Looking Cloud, Theda Nelson Clark and John Graham, of having been directly involved in the kidnapping and murder of Aquash. The two men were indicted in 2003 and convicted in separate trials in 2004 and 2010, respectively. By then in a nursing home, Clark was not indicted. As of 2004, Means' website states that he was a board member of the Colorado AIM chapter, which is affiliated with AIM autonomous chapters. Other political involvement. Since the late 1970s, Means often supported libertarian political causes, in contrast with several of the other leaders of AIM. In 1983 he agreed to become running mate to Larry Flynt in his unsuccessful run for U.S. President. In 1987, Means ran for nomination of President of the United States under the Libertarian Party, and attracted considerable support within the party, finishing second at the 1987 Libertarian National Convention. He lost the nomination to Congressman Ron Paul. In 2001, Means began an independent candidacy for governor of New Mexico. His campaign failed to satisfy procedural requirements and he was not selected for the ballot. In the 2004 and 2008 presidential elections, Means supported independent Ralph Nader. Nearly 30 years after his first candidacy, Means ran for president of the Oglala Sioux in 2004 with the help of Twala Lebo, losing to Cecilia Fire Thunder, the first woman elected president of the tribe. She also defeated the incumbent John Yellowbird Steele. Since the late 20th century, there has been a debate in the United States over the appropriate term for the indigenous peoples of North America. Some want to be called Native American. Others prefer American Indian. Means said that he preferred American Indian, arguing that it derives not from explorers' confusion of the people with those of India, but from the Italian expression Indio, meaning in God. In addition, Means noted that since treaties and other legal documents in relation to the United States government use Indian, continuing use of the term could help today's American Indian people forestall any attempts by others to use legal loopholes in the struggle over land and treaty rights. In 2007, Means and 80 other protesters were arrested in Denver during a parade for Columbus Day which they stated was a celebration of genocide. Following the non-binding United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples in September 2007, a group of American Indian activists presented a letter to the U.S. State Department, indicating they were withdrawing from all treaties with the U.S. government on December 20. Means announced the withdrawal by a small group of Lakota people. That same month, they began contacting foreign governments to solicit support for energy projects on the territory. Means and a delegation of activists declared the Republic of Lakota a sovereign nation, with property rights over thousands of square miles in South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, Wyoming and Montana. Means said that his group does not represent collaborators, the Viashi Indians and those tribal governments set up by the United States of America. On January 8, 2008, tribal leaders in the northern Great Plains, Rodney Bordeaux of the 25,000-member Rosebud Sioux tribe, and Joseph Brings Plenty of the 8,500-member Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, said that Means and the group of his fellow activists would not speak for their members or for any elected Lakota tribal government. While acknowledging that Means has accurately portrayed the federal government unregistered trademark broken promises to end treaties with America unregistered trademark indigenous peoples, they opposed his plan to renounce treaties with the United States and proclaim independence. They said the issue instead was to enforce existing treaties. In January 2012, he announced his endorsement of Ron Paul in his bid for president. Other activities. Acting since 1992, Means appeared as an actor in numerous films and television movies, first as the Chief Chinachgook in The Last of the Mohicans. He appeared as Arrowhead in the made-for-TV movie The Pathfinder, his second appearance in a movie adapted from a novel by James Fenimore Cooper. He appeared in Natural Born Killers, as Jim Thorpe and Windrunner, A Spirited Journey, as Sitting Bull and Buffalo Girls, and had a cameo in the miniseries Into the West. He was a voice actor in Disney's third highest-selling feature film Pocahontas and its sequel Pocahontas 2, Journey to a New World, playing the title character's father, Chief Powhatan. Means was a guest actor in the 1997 Duckman episode OE Roll With It, in which Duckman takes his family on an educational trip to an Indian reservation which turns out to be a casino. Means appeared as Billy Twofeathers in Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Means starred in Pathfinder, a 2007 movie about Vikings battling Native Americans in the New World. Means co-starred in Resbon from director Stephen Lewis Simpson, the first feature filmed on his native Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. He stars with Tamara Feldman and Trent Ford and Chris Robinson. In 2004, Means made a guest appearance on the HBO program Curb Your Enthusiasm. Means played Wandering Bear, an American Indian with skills in landscaping and herbal medicine. Writing. In 1995, Means published an autobiography, Where White Men Fear to Tread, written with Marvin J. Wolfe. He recounted his own family's problems, his alcoholic father, and his own fall into truancy, crime and drugs before he discovered the American Indian movement. The book drew criticism from a number of reviewers. While Patricia Holt, book editor for the San Francisco Chronicle, wrote of the book, "It's American history warts, wounds and all." In speaking about Means in a review of his autobiography, writer Mary Wadsworth of the Tucson Weekly wrote, "Critical readers do well to remain skeptical of any individual, however charismatic, who claims to be the voice of authority and authenticity for any population, let alone one as diverse as the native tribes of the Americas." But whatever conclusions one makes of Means' actions and intentions, his unremitting presence and undaunted outspokenness opened a dialogue that changed the course of American history. Music, art, and media. Russell Means recorded a CD entitled Electric Warrior with Sound of America Records, in 1993. Songs include Ungent Indio, Hey You, Hey Indian, Wounded Knee Set Us Free, and Indian Cars Go Far. This was followed a few years later with his The Radical album. In 2013, he was recognized by the Native American Music Awards with a Hall of Fame award. Means was an avid painter, with showings at various galleries around the country and the world. The American pop artist Andy Warhol painted 18 individual portraits of Russell Means in his 1976 American Indian series. The Dayton Art Institute holds one of the Warhol portraits of Means in its collection. Means appeared as a character in the adventure video game Under a Killing Moon, by Access Software, in 1994. Means is the focus of the 2014 documentary Conspiracy to Be Free by director Colter Johnson. Personal life. Means was married 5 times. The first 4 marriages ended in divorce. He was married to his 5th wife, Pearl Means, until his death. He had a total of 7 children and 3 adopted children, adopted in the Lakota way. On December 29, 1997, Means was arrested for assault and battery of his 56-year-old father-in-law Leon Grant, a member of the Diner Copyright Nation. AIM Governing General Council issued a press release to reiterate its separation from Means. As a grandfather with 22 grandchildren, Russell Means divided his time between Chin, Navajo Nation, Arizona, and Porcupine, South Dakota. Final years and death. In August 2011, Means was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. His doctors told him his condition was inoperable. He told the Associated Press that he was rejecting mainstream medical treatments in favor of traditional American Indian remedies and alternative treatments away from his home on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. In late September, Means reported that through tomotherapy, the tumor had diminished greatly. Later he said that his tumor was 95% gone. On December 5 of that year, Means stated that he beat cancer, that he had beat the death penalty. The following year, however, his health continued to decline and he died on October 22, 2012, less than a month before his 73rd birthday. A family statement said, "Our dad and husband now walks among our ancestors." ABC News said Means spent a lifetime as a modern American Indian warrior. Railed against broken treaties, fought for the return of stolen land and even took up arms against the federal government. Called national attention to the plight of impoverished tribes and often lamented the waning of Indian culture. Among the tributes were calls for his face to have been on Mount Rushmore. The New York Times said Means became as well known a Native American as Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. His ashes were sprinkled throughout the Black Hills. Filmography. Television: Walker, Texas Ranger, episode, Plague, Luther Iron Shirt, Touched by an Angel, episode, Written in Dust, Edison, The Profiler, episode, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, Uncle Joe, Nash Bridges, episodes Downtime, and Lady Killer, Dexter Birdsong. References. External links: Russell Means official website, Russell Means Freedom, Russell Means at the Internet Movie Database, Russell Means at Find a Grave, Republic of Lakota official website, American Indian Movement on Russell Means.